Tim, we were talking a little bit earlier. You were referencing or reminiscing on the South Carolina Miami game you called when Todd Ellis was the starting quarterback. And again, you have the helmets from Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier. So you're someone who's watched the South Carolina program in some form or fashion for quite a while. Again, what were your, I guess, coming up, what were your thoughts, and I guess what's it been like to see the evolution of the program? Because obviously at some point soon we're going to get into Shane Beamer and we're going to talk college football today, with the season just around the corner. But I'd just love to hear your thoughts and overall like the Gamecocks football program. I know it's a program that doesn't have the best tradition in the world, but certainly a passionate fan base, a fan base that fills out the stadium, and it has had some great players throughout its history.
I've said it many times, and I told Holtz this when he was up for the job. And Lou had trepidation about whether he should take the job. I knew Mike McGee already because Mike was somebody that had gone back in time at USC. I'd known him at other places before he got to South Carolina. And Mike was actually kind of using me to get to Lou to talk, what do you think? And then Lou would say, well, what do you think about this guy? Lou didn't have an agent. Okay. Right. A lot of coaches in his age bracket didn't have agents back then. And Lou was scared to go to South Carolina because he thought it might demean his incredible run at Notre Dame. And Craig James and I were both telling him, never forget, we had done the studio on a Saturday. We're taking a limousine to Baltimore, being driven to Baltimore to do a Ravens game on a Sunday. And he's literally doing South Carolina. She loves me not. She loves me. He was literally like, and he was like, I just, will I infringe on my legacy at Notre Dame if I go to South Carolina? We were like, Lou, Notre Dame is different. What you did at Notre Dame will live forever. Your legacy is safe. But you could go to South Carolina and build something that will be the foundation for great success for a long time to come. This is a fan base that's now in the SEC trying to get traction, and they're just going to be euphoric that they got Lou Holtz as their coach. And you can enjoy that, have one more great run, and living there will be a blast. You can get your family involved. Skip wanted to coach at that time too, and he could have him on the staff, which he did. But I'll never forget talking to him. I said, listen, South Carolina's fan base is probably the least spoiled of any in the SEC because, they were the Southern Independent that, got out of the ACC, and there was controversy over doing that. And then they languished for a while and had a little bit of a run with Joe Morrison in the mid 80s. And then that faded, and nothing consistent. They never built a consistent winner. You could do that. And you know what he did? They don't get Steve Spurrier without Lou Holtz having been there before him. They really don't. And I think that just speaks volumes about where they are. Now, look, things have changed again for the Gamecocks because of the transformation of the Southeastern Conference through its continued growth. All right. And I think where Shane is now is somewhat in a similar position to where Lou was when he took the job. It's advanced years. And you're this far removed from having gone through as an independent, leaving the ACC in 1970 to where you are now. But, a proud tradition reborn, I think, is what Beamer's trying to accomplish, because Lou set the table for people forget this, but they beat Ohio State twice.
They beat an Ohio State team that won the national title the next season.
As bowl games, bowl games in successive years. And that was a job, by the way, that Holtz always wanted. Ohio State. He had coached with Woody as an assistant. But he has those years. And then when he got out, and it was time for him to get out after the fight with Clemson, it was time for him to get out. He helped procure Spurrier. There's no question. that Spurrier doesn't go there if he hadn't already seen Lou do what Lou did. And Spurrier looked at South Carolina in the same vein as he did Duke when he took Duke to an unprecedented ACC title. And putting together those consecutive 11-win seasons, getting South Carolina almost to an SEC title. I mean, he really wanted a league championship, didn't get it, but he got them as close as you could possibly get. That's pretty remarkable too. So, look, it's been a while now since South Carolina's had that kind of buzz, that kind of juice. And this version of Beamer ball, I think, is what everybody there is so excited about. I knew Shane when he was a kid. His dad, before he coached at Virginia Tech and the time that he spent in the Southern Conference, the whole Furman thing, all that. And he was most recently in Oklahoma. I saw Shane the week of the heavy-duty announcement that he was coming to South Carolina. Spencer and I were in doing the Oklahoma-Baylor game. And, it was all swirling at that time that he was headed, to South Carolina. I'm really happy for him. Shane's got pedigree. He's got tremendous credibility. And he knows and gets how all this works because of the way his dad navigated his way up. But he's, as we like to say in the South, he's not too big for his britches because, like his father, he's come up, through the smaller schools and had to work his way to the point where he is today. So I think he's the perfect guy to guide the Gamecocks moving forward. It'll be hard this year because, you've got a banged up quarterback right now and you're trying to figure out what's going to go on there. Schedule is brutal. And the Eastern Division now has Georgia and a Florida ahead of you with a Kentucky that I think is undervalued. So it's going to be hard, but I still think he can succeed. And with the issues that are going on at Tennessee that are going to take a long, long time for them to climb their way out of, I think South Carolina can, move slowly and exponentially over time to great success again. And their fan base deserves it. I've always said that the fan base in South Carolina is as understanding and driven by reality more than fantasy than most. Most fans in the SEC, if they're not winning national titles or knocking on the door for one, they're pissed. That's not true at South Carolina. I think that they will appreciate and enjoy, a bowl season, when because they've been there before. They've been through the hills and valleys of trying to hold on to a program. And they understand that geographically, from a recruiting standpoint, they've always been in a difficult position. They have to go out of state, neighboring states, and do well, and sometimes even recruit nationally to have success because there just aren't the numbers of players in football that you'd find in South Carolina that can match with other SEC schools.